You can see the foot marks here. You can see the pad marks rather. There's one pad mark here. There's a large pad mark here. So the elephant has neatly shaved this off, eaten it, and it's walked like this. Look at its pad. Oh, you can see the nails very clearly here. In comparison with my foot, you can see the nails. And it's gone off this side. So there is a slight gap there, a 4-foot gap between that railway fence and there's a wall, rubble wall. It's gone through that. I'm Rama, and I'm 69 years old, and I live in this farm called Anemane farm. This is more than a 30-year-old farm. It's about 35 years old, and we have worked on this farm mainly to preserve the biodiversity. The sun is out. It's beautiful. Look at the butterflies. So, what a sight. This is a sandal tree, and we have these blue tigers, they're called. These butterflies are called blue tigers, and they're migratory. So this is the season. So there's one big wave of migration we experienced about about 3 days ago, and now we are seeing this sandalwood trees full of these. We could have bought a land which was fertile. That is easy job. But from the beginning, individually, I was personally committed to, rejuvenating wastelands. So when this was an opportunity, well, we took this and tried to see how we can build life into something which is so badly depleted. Here, it was mainly granite quarrying, and added to that was chemical farming, excessive use of chemical fertilizers, unregulated use of chemical fertilizers, so which led to a complete depletion of the ability of the soil to preserve its nutrients. So our main challenge was to work on the soil, to make the soil alive, because when we came here, it was almost like dust. It was like a grey, sandy soil. One can't even call it soil. A soil building is it's for generations together. It doesn't happen in one generation, because whatever the topsoil lost is lost, and it takes centuries to build. But we are adopting not only traditional methods of farming, but we also started biodynamic agriculture and using many of the methods that were possible for us to adopt. So the first task was to build that soil, and that took a long time, because first we had to wash the soil of various kinds of residues, mainly chemical residues from fertilizers, and then that took 7 to 8 years. That was a period where we did a lot of intensive crop rotation and mulching to literally, whatever crop we got, we plowed it back with very little, harvest. So that's also the time when we started making tree, wind barriers, and taking care of erosion, because there was a lot of water erosion. and wind erosion. So we are right on top of the hill. So you don't sense it, but this is as high as Kadamane of Sakleshpur. So there's a lot of erosion. So we had to work really hard to hold in the little soil that was there. These nice teak trees here, we planted them a little close because we wanted them to act as windbreaks. So as you can see, it's sort of creating a kind of a screen almost. And you can see how wildly they're moving. Imagine the state when these trees were not there. The wind would have blown a lot of the surface soil off. So this windbreak was a very important thing. So we had these silver oaks and interspersed with teak. More of teak and less of silver oak. And also, you look at the mulch here. This mulch is coming mainly from there. So they provide us with a lot of biomass which go into the basins of these lemon trees. So we have windbreaks for every patch and also for the periphery. Then came the problem of the elephants. So there were successive, waves of crops, I would call it. So first came these papaya, pomegranate, citrus kind of a combination. Then we tried coconuts, very good coconuts. Then the coconuts were completely decimated. When it would put out the fronds, the young fronds, it would be pulled up from top, leaving only the hollow stems. Then we said, okay, let us try something else. We have so many people to sort of guard it. There were other farmers who were guarding the place. Bananas. Again, bananas went for a toss, and they were very special bananas. So we had waves of plantation and waves of destruction. There's no way we could anticipate, and there was no understanding of how to control this. So as a result of this long years of trial and error, finally I've come to this understanding that citrus alone can withstand. Citrus and roses, Edward roses for instance, the one you make gulkand with, that is very good. So that can also be grown. And I think that's been tried by some of the farmers. Then beekeeping, they say. Beekeeping, not like in Africa, which will ward off the elephant, but at least we can do the beekeeping. It's not going to come and attack the bees. So that is very, very profitable. And the closer you are to the forest, the better the quality of your honey. We have multiple kinds of citrus. This is a variety which is a hybrid, more like an Italian lemon. And we have some which are totally nutty, like what we get generally, and which are very, very hardy. These are a little more sensitive. So we have a variety of them. We have these very small, regular sized lemons to really large citruses, which grow like trees and not like shrubs. But the beauty is that they support a lot of life, like birds living in them, like butterflies. They are host plants for butterflies, and of course their aroma, the multiple uses of lemons. I don't think we can just use lemons for jams and preserves anymore. I think there are a lot of cleaning, detergents being made with lemon extracts. So that way I think lemon growing has a lot of future. We are friends with the elephant in the sense we miss its presence enormously. If it doesn't come, you feel a guest hasn't arrived, to be honest. That's my personal feeling. There are other people, not just in Karnataka, but in other states also, who are experiencing this, and more farmers are experiencing this because the forests are being cut down and cities are growing. So the land is under enormous pressure. So this fragmentation is only going to increase the problem. We know that we can expect a certain amount of destruction, but we know that this is the way it's going to be, because we are here knowing that it's very close to a wilderness. And we know that biodiversity is really the most important thing if the earth has to survive this terrible period of change. And it's also important that biodiversity is preserved for the sake of food security. Yeah, just a while ago we were discussing food security and what is nutrition. So nutrition is also about what the land can offer without too much of a input from man. So what we call weeds, what we call wild plants. So that can only be there when all these creatures, big and small, are there, which means plant, animal of every kind, insects, macro, micro organisms, all of that. The birds, the elephants, the leopards, because they are the main dispersers of seeds. And they are the ones who enrich the soil without us having to ask. Farming is not just for food production, at least as we understand it and as biodynamic expresses it. It is for enriching the soil, so that suited us perfectly. That is what changed the character of the farm. And if you look at it today, does it look like something which was absolutely degraded? It doesn't. So, recently I worked on this book called The Birds of Anemane, A Farmer's Log. So it is just what it is, what the title says. It is a farmer's log. So every day I've been, for years I've been recording insects, diversity of the place, particularly from the farmer's point of view. What is it that would be helpful? What is it that would be a little more destructive? So from that perspective. So then I got around to taking pictures of birds. So that way it was more of a record of what is happening on the land, the connection between the soil, the plant, the insect, the bird. So that was the story. And of course, you have other things also, like spiders who are not insects, and snakes, and many other creatures. So it's a whole, what I observed was a whole network. So what one says about, regeneration, what one talks about micro ecosystems, that I really got to experience when I started recording these things and started looking at them carefully. This is our vermicompost pit, and what we see here is the compost being made. This pit is open underneath, there is no cement. So what we do is, to start off the pit, we put twigs, and on top of that we put dry leaves, and we put one big layer of slurry, cow dung slurry. And usually the slurry is at least 15 to 20 days old, because the temperature should have reduced. Then on top of that we alternately layer, actually we don't have to alternately layer the dry and green. Whatever we find, suppose tomorrow we are taking off the branches of a tree, we just put that. So whatever is available, whether it's a combination of dry and green, we pile that up. But every layer, every 1 foot, we add slurry, fairly thick slurry. It's like this. The slurry meaning the cow dung, which is turned and made into a kind of a liquid form. And then we leave this alone for at least a month and a half, and then we turn it. So this enables aeration, and it also enables the decomposition. But we find after a while that there is a thin form, level of worm castings. So that's when we know that it is getting ready. So what we do here is, it is not required, but what helps the worms is, we sometimes make a solution of jaggery and we sprinkle it. Or when we make jivamrita or panchagavya, we add it. We can also add, once this is done and ready like this, once it is removed, after about 2.5 to 3 months, we can add a biodynamic preparation called CPP, cow pat pit. So that makes it even more potent. It enriches this compost. And the smell of this is entirely different. When you smell this, it smells like rain, it feels like humus, it smells like humus. That is the difference. Another thing that we've noticed is, even after a short spell of rain, the plants regenerate. They don't die off. Like earlier, we would have had a lot of deaths by now with these 2 years of bad rains. That's another thing we've discovered. The deeper the organic matter, the greater the ability of the soil to hold moist. Even this act of preserving, or rather increasing the ability of the soil to hold moisture. Now, how many people think that's a farmer's job? But who else will do it? That is the thing, to enable the soil to hold more water, to be able to absorb more water. So the water table comes up. So this whole hydrology and soil health are connected. So there are many things a farmer can do. And I agree that these things have to be recognized and he has to be compensated for that. A compost made in such a farm cannot be sold in the way that it's made from waste, because it's not waste. You're recycling all the resources. Every resource on the land is recycled. Nothing is wasted. It's really a zero waste way of farming.